Pancakes.
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 Let's get.
Let's get.
Let's get.
Let's get.
Let's get.
Let's get.
Me siento grande.
First off, we're adding.
Here's of we're adding.
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 One and a third cups.
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 One and a third cups. $160. 161 ounces. ¿Cómo se llama eso? Es 160 grams of all-purpose flour. All-purpose flour. Es harina de todo uso. 160 grams. 160 grams of all-purpose flour. 160 grams of all-purpose flour. 160 grams of all-purpose flour.
¿Está grabando eso, no?
No.
Sí, ¿quién le puso?
No, nadie.
Dejamos este pedazo como evidencia.
Nadie. ¿Quién grabó? No, nadie. 160 grams. 160 grams of all-purpose flour. Purpose flour. Entonces son 160 gramos de harina de todo uso. Into a large bowl. Que eso lo habíamos traducido. Now.
Le pongo pausa.
Salt. 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of salt. Una cucharada de sal.
Aquí todavía dice with the heat of your hands, que quiere decir con el calor de tus manos.
non-stick pan.
Incluso pueden ver el video y tratar de traducir todo lo que dice y luego ya repetirlo. Pero yo creo que este es un buen video. Creo que eso es lo que ustedes deberían hacer.
A little bit of lubricant there. You can use some
O
spray if you want to.
como
As soon as your butter's melted, you can add in about a third of a cup, making some smaller ones for the kids and some big ones for the adults. If you made pancakes before, you know that the first one is not
se pueden
the
copiar
prettiest,
todo lo que
but
está aquí
it's going to be
entonces
tasty.
bueno,
I'm
si
still
quieren pueden
figuring out
buscar
this cooktop, so bear with me. Normally you can tell a pancake is done because bubbles start forming on the top. But this mixture is so bubbly because of the buttermilk and the leavening agent that you're not gonna get that indication. Yeah. Not bad. Look at that fluffiness. Hey, you're watching Frumpy Kitchen, where I, John Cannell, teach you how to make delicious homemade dishes to share with your family and friends. Today we're making the fluffiest, most delicious buttermilk pancakes you've ever had in your life. These are super easy.
Y ya aparece un video de
First off, we're adding
y ya después venían las fotos de
1 and 2 cups are
que no hagan cosas. Mira, para mí está bien para mi clase
ever had in your life. These are super easy. Whip up in just a couple of minutes.
3 to 4 people, so if you are cooking for more, just double the recipe. You can find a printable version on my website or check the information box below for the measurements. In the same bowl as the flour, measure out 4 teaspoons of baking powder. 4 may seem like a lot, but this is the secret to getting the softest, fluffiest pancake. The baking powder is going to react and create an abundance of air, getting that perfect pancake texture. Lastly, to the dry ingredients, add a pinch of salt. You can add sugar here as well if you would like, around a tablespoon, but I prefer to add sweetness with toppings rather than the actual pancake. Use a wooden spoon to mix the dry ingredients together until they are combined. Set the bowl to the side. In a smaller bowl, mix together the wet ingredients. First, crack in 1 large free-range egg, followed by the milk. I'm using dairy, but you can substitute with soy or almond if you would like. To the egg and milk, add a 1/4 cup of cooled melted butter. Use a fork to mix everything together, making sure the egg is well incorporated.
Together in a large bowl, starting with 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. That's 160 grams. I have this recipe and memorized by heart because they are my weekend go-tos with the kids. They're so satisfying and delicious, and these pancakes really are tender, fluffy, and amazing. They blow all the other ones that you could buy, including the pre-made mixes, out of the water, and it's just beyond easy. All right. To puff things up, I want 1 tablespoon of baking powder. In you go.
Vamos a repetirlo bien. Ajá, 1 tablespoon.
1 tablespoon of baking powder. All right. To puff things up, I want 1 tablespoon of baking powder. In you go. And to give you some contrast to the sugar in here and that wonderful syrup you're gonna pour on top, I'd like half a teaspoon of, I want 1 tablespoon of
1 tablespoon
baking powder,
of baking powder.
in here. And to give you some contrast to the sugar in here and that wonderful syrup you're gonna pour on top, I'd like half a teaspoon of salt.
I like
I
like
half
a teaspoon of salt.
If you wanted to, you could up this to 3/4 of a teaspoon, even a full teaspoon if you have the bite of salt. But half a teaspoon is a really safe measurement. You're gonna have that wonderful contrast, but it's definitely not gonna be too salty. Our skin, I have the recipe memorized. I forgot the sugar, oh my gosh. The sugar is really important in this recipe because it does 2 things. You're gonna cover these in syrup, and yes, that's sweet enough, but you'd like the cake itself to be a little sweet, so 2 tablespoons goes a long way.
2 tablespoons a long way.
Cake itself to be a little sweet, so 2 tablespoons goes a long way. And more importantly, the sugar is gonna booze goes a long way. Syrup, and yes, that's sweet enough, but you'd like the cake itself to be a little sweet, so 2 tablespoons goes a long way. And more importantly, the sugar is gonna soften the batter, so it'll give you a really tender melt in your mouth crumb. They're not gonna be dry and fluffy or bready and fluffy. No. It also caramelizes in it. This would cause problems, I'll tell you that later, if it was cold. 240 mils. Now we're gonna add 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup, 56 grams of melted butter to our room temperature or warmed milk. In the morning, no one's gonna measure the milk out, let it come to room temperature. You're just gonna microwave it.
microwave.
Out, let it come to room temperature. You're just gonna microwave it. It's cold and you're tired. 1 large room temperature egg. This gives our pancakes one large room temperature.
1 large room temperature.
This gives our pancake some structure. And for flavor, 2 teaspoons.
And for flavor, 2 tablespoons of vanilla.
Is it vanilla?
Vanilla, creo.
And for flavor, 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
Vanilla.
One day I'll measure it out, but not today. All right, give this a nice mix. You're basically really wanting to break the egg up and kind of emulsify the butter into the milk a bit. This smells exquisite. I could drink it up already. Grab your flour and we're gonna combine it.
Creo que es que vamos a combinar los ingredientes.
And we're gonna combine the dry ingredients. But first, Let's warm up our ingredients. But first, grab your flour and we're gonna combine the dry ingredients. Grab your flour and we're gonna combine the dry ingredients. But first, let's warm our pan up. Grab your flour and we're gonna combine the dry ingredients. First, let's warm our pan up. So get a big skillet or a griddle and we're going to place it over medium-low heat. The secret to an amazing fluffy pancake, besides using the right recipe, is cooking it over medium-low heat. If you go too hot, the sugar that you added to the pancake is gonna burn. The inside will be raw and it's not great. You wanna slowly heat it up and then side because they're kind of just easier to manage and portion out. Do they become hot cakes then? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. I've heated my pan on medium-low just to get it started. Right now, you can work your way up to medium or even medium-high. It depends on your cooktop. My induction cooktop and the propane burners run so hot that I always like to go on medium-low for my pancakes. But if you have an electric cooktop, you might want medium-high. It's kind of up to you. If you want, you can make these pancakes in advance. Cook them up and then just freeze them flat, transfer them to a freezer bag, maybe with parchment paper in between so they don't stick. And then you can microwave as needed for on-demand, delicious pancakes. After about a minute, you can take a little peek. What's happening here? Those are basically ready.
What's happening here?
What's happening here? Those are basically ready to pop over. And I see bubbles on top. That means the batter is starting to set. So let's carefully
Yeah.
give it a little flip. This got a little hot, so I'm gonna reduce my heat. And on the next batch, I'm adding more butter. And these pancakes are fluffy.
These pancakes are fluffy.
The other side cooks really quickly. But my main lesson as I'm apparently pancake rusty is I needed more butter and a lower heat. So reduce the heat. Actually, let that cool down for a second. We're gonna reduce the heat and add more butter for the next batch. Batch number 2, less heat.
Batch number 2, let's heat more butter.
More butter.
Eat more butter.
More butter. More butter.
And now you're gonna add your dry.
Vamos a comprar una barrota, ¿no?
So let's get started. So let's get started.
First off, we're gonna get the dry ingredients together.
First off, we're gonna get the dry ingredients
Over.
ingredients together in a lot. Stop. We're gonna get the dry cakes. So let's get started. First off, we're
First
We're gonna get the dry ingredients together
in a large bowl.
in a large
bowl.
I say no.
In a large bowl.
Starting with 1/3 cup.
Starting with
1
cups. 1 cups. Starting with 1 cups.
Of all-purpose flour.
All-purpose flour.
That's 160 grams.
That's 160 grams.
That's 160 grams.
That's
That's 160 grams.
Y yo.
I have this recipe and my waffle recipe memorized by heart.
So let's get started.
First off, we're gonna get the dry ingredients together in a large bowl.
Starting with 1 cups all-purpose flour. That's 160 grams.
1 tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons. Sugar goes a long way.
Well, getting those all mixed up. We're gonna set that aside and to get the wet ingredients together.
Knock in a medium bowl and combining 1 cup of whole milk.
Now we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of melted butter to room temperature or warm milk.
Alright, give us a nice mix. Grab your flour and we're gonna combine the dry ingredients.
But first, let's warm our pan up.
So get a no. So get a big skillet and we're going to place it over medium low heat.
Add the wet to the dry.
Right now, I'm gonna use my spatula and use for everything together.
Do not over mix.
But cool, add chocolate chips. Ay, ya me confundí. Pero es práctica, ¿no?
Síguele.
Okay. A ver. But you could add chocolate chips. ¿Entiendes?
You can make this like it will take any kind of mix. In reality, well.
This recipe makes about 6 medium-sized pancakes.
Little more butter on the pan.
Get some coverage and now you're gonna add your butter in.
I would think a third to 1/4 cup butter per pancake is a nice rule of thumb.
I added my pan on medium low just to get it started.
Select careful, give it a live feed.
Transfer your pancakes to plate.
Serve with dashings of butter and syrup, and just like that, you're ready to enjoy.
Select get started.
First off, we're gonna get the dry ingredients together in a large bowl.
Starting with 1 cups all-purpose flour. That's 160 grams.
Half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar goes a long way.
Wells into it all made up. We're gonna set that aside to get the with ingredients together.
Now, knock in a medium bowl in combining 1 cup of whole milk.
Now we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of melted butter to whole room temperature or warm milk. One large room temperature milk.
Alright, give us a 9 minutes. Grab your flour and we're gonna combine the dry ingredients.
But first, let's warm our pan up.
To get a bit skillet, and we're going to place it over medium low heat.
Add the wet to the dry.
Right now I'm gonna use my spatula and use force everything together.
Do not over mix.
But you could add chocolate chips, you could add banana slices and blueberries.
You can make this like it will take any hint of mixing really well.
This recipe makes about 6 medium-sized pancakes.
Get some coverage and now you're gonna add your butter in.
I would think a third to a quarter cup of butter per pancake is a nice rule of thumb.
I hear my pan on medium low, just No problem. To get it started,
Little barrels and the pan.
Select carefully, gave it a lifeline. Creo que no está. No. Sí. No, sí. Ay, Dios
Ay, qué va.
We're gonna reduce the heat, add more barrels for next batch.
Transfer your pancake to a plate.
Serve with lashings of butter and syrup, and just like you're ready to enjoy.
Delicious!